There is a lot of evidence showing a human presence in Pikmin 4. While hints at a human presence are nothing new to Pikmin, I think I found one very specific piece of evidence that can tell us exactly when the humans all left, if they even left at all. Hello everyone, you're watching Variety Television and welcome to another Pikmin 4 theory video. Today we're going to be discussing the humans of Pikmin 4 as well as a brief look at different clues from the past. Before we get started, I'd like to ask if you would please take a moment and check to see if you are subscribed, as most of the people who watch my videos are not actually subscribed. With that out of the way, let's talk about some humans in Pikmin. Like I stated earlier in the video, the presence of humans in the Pikmin franchise is nothing new. Ever since the first game, there was signs of humans and hints that PNF 404 could even be Earth. Olimar's Geiger counter from that game gave us our first clue at the fate of the humans. It seems that as a result of some war or accident or some other disaster, a nuclear Armageddon had occurred on Earth. This effectively wiped out all the humans, and we can assume the radiation from the event is what caused all of the strange creatures and even the Pikmin themselves to come into existence, as high levels of radiation tend to change things at a very deep level and often cause rapid evolution and mutations, so this all makes sense. In Pikmin 2, we return to the planet of the humans to collect all the treasures that they left behind. Things like batteries, food, and even jewelry. These large and mysterious objects hold a lot of value on Hecate, and it would seem there's nobody left on Earth to use them. Pikmin 2 has a very human-centric theming system, with almost every treasure being man-made or at the very least commonly seen in people's houses, like the random food. We also see many signs of human architecture, things like manhole covers and bricks. In Pikmin 3, I feel like we see a little less of the human architecture and more of the human technology. It seems like the settings in Pikmin 3 are all more natural in design, but the items we collect from bosses are not, like cell phones. A cell phone that's strangely emitting a signal still? That's very weird. How is it still charged? In Pikmin 4, we see more human leftovers than ever before. Almost every setting we've seen so far revolves around humans. Clay pots, brick-lined walkways, garden hoses, wooden fences, and a whole entire house. Not to mention all the treasures once again seem to be mostly man-made items like a compass or a cookie. What immediately caught my eye in Pikmin 4, as I'm sure it did with you as well, is the house. The house and many of the other human artifacts are in nearly perfect condition. At least in Pikmin 2, the human stuff seemed like it had been sitting there a while, but this house looks almost freshly cleaned. Based on the well-kept plants and lack of dust on everything, it seems someone had maintained this place very recently. While this could just be to make the game look nicer, I think this is a much bigger and much deeper hint than that. But before I tell you the really big clue, let's lay out a foundation. A lot of you probably already know that I think this game is going to be a reboot of the franchise. A lot of elements of Pikmin as a whole have seemingly been rewritten for this game, and I think the story and timeline of what happened to the humans could be changing too. The humans absolutely could have and probably still have gone extinct due to radiation. The difference now, however, is that I think it's meant to happen much sooner in relation to Olimar's first arrival. The one particular clue I've found could tell us almost exactly how long ago they went away. So now let's take a look. The clue in question is, of course, the Cobalt Blue Game Boy Advance. Normally this wouldn't be significant, but this actually gives us two key details to work with. The first, the Game Boy Advance is switched on, and the second, the Game Boy's battery life is still green. This lets us know it was recently charged, but exactly how long could a Game Boy sit like this and still display a green battery light? It's important to note that these Game Boys don't go into any sleep mode while closed. Some games offered it as an option in their menus, but the Game Boy Advance SP runs the same as long as it's switched on, and there is clearly no game in this one. The absolute first Game Boy to ever be released had a battery life of almost 50 hours. That's a little over 2 days. And you'd probably assume that the way more recent handheld, our Cobalt Blue Game Boy Advance, would have much better battery life. This, however, is not the case. The maximum amount of time that a Game Boy Advance can be switched on before it dies is about 15 hours and 25 minutes, and this thing's battery light is still green. A Game Boy Advance's battery light turns red when there's 30% of the battery life or less. 30% of our 15 hours and 25 minutes is about 4 hours and 36 minutes, leaving us with a range of from up to 15.5 hours before we touch down, and as close to as 4 hours and 37 minutes prior. I really don't know what Nintendo's planning with this one, but the implications are huge. It seems the humans went away much sooner than anyone truly expected. In fact, with everything we've seen so far, it really seems like the humans might not be gone at all, which is extremely interesting. Let me know what you think about all this down below. While you're at it, don't forget to consider subscribing and leaving a like if you enjoyed this video. There's really a lot to consider when it comes to the humans in Pikmin 4, so I can't wait to hear all of your ideas. That's about all I've got for this one though, but stay tuned. Variety Television will be right back.